The first time you run Atom, you'll be looking at the following. This is the welcome guide. There's lots of different links to help you get to places, and places you can go to get help. In particular, I highly recommend unchecking this. Otherwise, this is going to come up every time you open Atom, and most of the time you don't want to see it. You'll also notice that there'll be a tab called Telemetry Consent. This is the usual thing where they're asking you, can we send telemetry data, anonymized, back to our servers so that we can improve Atom? If you didn't know, that's called telemetry. You can choose whichever you want. I typically choose no. You'll also have an open blank file. Keep in mind, this is a text editor, and you will have open files that you work on all the time. At this point, it isn't going to be able to do much, because Atom doesn't have any customization packages installed. This is the first thing we want to do. I'm going to exit out of Atom, and back here where I had all of my installers, I also have packagelist.txt. This is available from the course website. If you open it up, you'll notice that it just lists a bunch of names of packages on single lines. These are all the packages that I recommend and that we will be taking advantage of throughout the course. It's important that you install these for Atom because there will be times when I expect them to be installed. Certain things that I do inside of Atom won't work until these things are available. And also the things that you see when I'm using Atom will look completely different if you haven't installed all of these. Most of them are here to make this a robust web development environment. We'll talk about some of these as you see them in action inside of Atom, but for now the main goal is to get them installed. We're going to do this from the bash terminal. So once again, come to the folder where you have packagelist.txt located. Maybe it's your downloads folder, maybe it's your desktop, maybe it's right here in my installers folder in my case. In that folder, right-click in the empty space and say git bash here, just like we did before. This opens a bash terminal that's already navigated to that particular directory. I can say ls to list all the files in the current directory, and you'll notice that packagelist.txt is one of them. From here, we want to be able to use the Atom package manager. This is actually based largely on the node package manager we played around with earlier, only you type apm to run it instead of npm. If you run apm by itself, it will show you what commands it supports and give you some ideas of how to get more help. Let's type apm install -h to get more help on the install command. The install command is used to actually install packages. Most of these help sections will have some usage examples up at the top, and I highly recommend starting there when you're trying to figure out what a command does. In this case, this is the one we want. We say apm install, then we say --packages file, and give it the name of that file that lists our packages. Let's do that. --packages file, and then it's called packagelist.txt. But I can just start to type the name and press the tab key, and it will automatically complete it for me, which is always a very good idea to make sure you don't misspell it. At this point I hit enter, and it's time to go get a coffee. This will take a while. Be patient, let it complete installing. Once it's finished installing all of the different packages, we can now go over and test things. So let's go ahead and start Atom up again. It should have put it on your desktop. Once it first comes up, we're going to want to go over into the configuration area. This will be under File, Settings, or it'll be under the Atom menu Preferences if you are using a Mac. Now you'll notice for mine a few extra things come up. This is just because I've been using it already. But the main thing that you'll notice here is the different list of options that are available over at the side. Initially you'll be under Core, and there are many settings you can mess with under here, most of which I'll encourage you to just leave as they are. There's many settings under the editor as well, but our particular place we want to go is Packages. When you go to Packages now, you should see all of these packages we just installed, and you'll also see a little green light next to them indicating that they are currently working. If for any reason you would like to disable one of these packages, there's a button for it. Once you do that, all of its effects will go away. You can also uninstall the package if you feel so inclined. Next, let's take a look down at the very bottom. at the install section. Here, you can search for other packages that you might like to use. This is the normal way that you would be able to install new packages. For example, let's take a look for HTML. You have to hit enter for the search to actually occur, and you'll notice a lot of the things that are up near the top are things we have already installed. When you see that it's made by Atom itself, it's very possible that it is a default package that came with the editor. There's many other things under here, most of which are things that we don't really want to mess with. When you are searching through here, if you want to figure out more about a particular package, you can click on its name. When you do this, it's going to open up the web page that describes that package in your default browser, and you can read more about it and how it works. You can usually see a little demonstration or video of some sort to help you know more about it. A very important thing to check when you're thinking about installing a package is this little number over here. This shows you how many people have downloaded it and are using it. You'll notice as you go further down the list that number is going to get smaller and smaller. Atom automatically sort of sorts by this, though not everything, not all of it is sorted by that, some of it is. So keep that in mind. You will generally want to install packages that have lots of users because that's an indication that it works well. These packages can be made by anybody, and they are hosted whether they work or not. So don't just simply take the fact that it's offered here as evidence that it is a good package. You want to look it over a little bit, see how recently it's been updated, and see how many people are actually using it. If that number is low, consider looking for an alternative that does the same thing. With all that said and done, everything should now be installed. There are a few packages that require further configuration, but we're not going to do that right now. We'll cross that bridge as we get to it throughout this course. If you have any questions or had any problems installing these programs, please be sure to reach out to me because we don't want to move forward if things aren't working perfectly.